The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the beginning of the Holy Gospel according to Matthew.
Glory to you, Lord.
The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham became the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers. Judah became the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez became the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Amminadab. Amminadab became the father of Nahshon, Nahshon the father of Salmon, Salmon the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz became the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed became the father of Jesse, Jesse the father of David, the king. David became the father of Solomon, whose mother had been the wife of Uriah. Solomon became the father of Rehoboam, Rehoboam the father of Abijah, Abijah the father of Asaph. Asaph became the father of Jehoshaphat, Jehoshaphat the father of Joram, Joram the father of Uzziah. Uzziah became the father of Jotham, Jotham the father of Ahaz, Ahaz the father of Hezekiah. Hezekiah became the father of Manasseh, Manasseh the father of Amos, Amos the father of Josiah. Josiah became the father of Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the Babylonian exile. After the Babylonian exile, Jeconiah became the father of Shealtiel, Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, Abiud became the father of Eliakim, Eliakim the father of Azor, Azor the father of Zadok, Zadok became the father of Akim, Akim the father of Eliud, Eliud the father of Eleazar, Eleazar became the father of Mathan, Mathan the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Matthew's genealogy is my favorite Christmas gospel, said nobody ever. Yet it is one of the appointed gospels for this great solemnity of Christmas, and one that, truthfully, we do need to dust off every decade or so. How did you feel listening to it? Confused? A bit frustrated? Disappointed? Angry? Bored? Maybe you should try reading it. Our expectations, realistic or unrealistic, especially at this time of the year, often set us up emotionally. And one would think that at this point in our life and in our history, we would know better. After all, expectations that disappoint are really at the very heart of Christmas. In the first century, people longed and were looking and expecting a Savior. Many of Jesus' own people expected that the Messiah would come and he would be a king like David. A king similar to the Roman emperors, who through military might and economic power would govern the world from Jerusalem. Still others were expecting the coming of the Son of Man, not unlike our thinking of the end of time. This mysterious figure from the Old Testament would usher in the day of the Lord, judging the nations and eliminating all evil. Nobody ever expected that God would become a human being, fully entering into our own human experience. In fact, so unexpected was this that it took the disciples of Jesus over 300 years just to find the language to profess it. The creed that we hold and profess to this day. Our expectations, when they're frustrated, tend to blind us to the grace that is given, the grace that is present. But we fail to recognize it because it isn't the grace we wanted, nor was it the grace for which we were looking. So what is the grace of Matthew's genealogy and this Christmas? Actually, they are quite many and varied. But just to focus on one, I would point to the bond of our common humanity. A bond that, at least to me, seems to be neglected and set aside more and more as each of us tends to pursue our own needs and our own wants. What do we hear in Matthew's text? Do we just hear a painfully long list of names that are unfamiliar and meaningless? Meaningless? They are fellow mortals together with us. Weren't their lives every bit as important as your life or mine? And is it true that we really know nothing about them? On the contrary, I think we know a great deal about each and every one of those names. We know that as human beings, they needed water and food and shelter and clothing. We know that emotionally they longed for respect, for dignity, security, and belonging, just as we all do. We know they worked, and they loved, and they longed to be loved. We know they had their hopes and dreams, and knew their share of disappointments and unexpected joy, that there were times when they wept and other times when they laughed, sometimes even uncontrollably so. We know that, like us, They too wiped their foreheads in the scorching heat of the sun, and they also gazed up in wonder at the night sky. And we know they prayed. We know this about them. And truthfully, we know it about one another and about every person whom we encounter. Matthew's genealogy, Christmas, Emmanuel, God with us, reminds us of our common shared humanity, and to honor that common humanity and to give it the respect, the kindness, the dignity and care to which Jesus Christ summons us. God bless us, everyone.